In terms of saying Kiddush Friday night, there's an interesting discussion about what our posture should be while saying Kiddush. Should we be sitting at the table already, or should we be standing while reciting Kiddush? It's interesting to think about yourself. What is your own family custom regarding this? Let's look into this a little bit more closely and see the different opinions. So the question once again is, should we sit while saying Kiddush or stand? So let's start with the Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch says, "Va'omer vayechulu mi'umad," that one should say vayechulu, the first part of Kiddush, the first paragraph of Kiddush, while he is standing. Okay, now let's talk about this for a second. The Shulchan Aruch seems to be saying that the first paragraph, at least, should be said in a standing position. Why is this? What's so significant about the first paragraph that warrants us to be standing during that paragraph? So there are three reasons that are offered as to why it's appropriate to stand for Vayechulu, again for the first paragraph of Kiddush. One reason is that when saying the first paragraph, it is as if we are giving testimony. We're declaring that Hashem created the world. By reading those psukim, we are saying that Hashem rested on the seventh day, and He created it the 6 days before that. So since in Jewish court the rule is that a witness stands up, unlike in an American court, so therefore we stand up while saying Vayechulu. A second reason is given is based on Rabbi Chanina, who we learned about previously, and Rav Chanina would stand to greet Shabbat. Why? Well, Rav Chanina compared Shabbat to a queen, and even Rav Yana, if you remember, compared Shabbat to a bride, but either way, it's respectful to stand to greet Shabbat. So that's a second reason. And a third reason has to do with the first letters, which we have learned already. Since the first letters of the first four words spell out Hashem's name, right? Yom Hashishi Vayechulu Hashamayim. Since the first four words spell out Hashem's name, it is therefore appropriate to stand while saying Hashem's name. And presumably, once we're standing for this part, we stand for the entire paragraph of Vayechulu. Let's go back now to the Shulchan Aruch. The Shulchan Aruch continues and he says, V'acharkach, and afterwards, Omer Bori Pri Hagafen, he says Bori Pri Hagafen, V'acharkach Kiddush. And then he says the Kiddush, meaning the bracha on the day of Shabbat. It sounds like the Shulchan Aruch is saying that one should only stand while saying Vayechulu, but while saying the rest, one should sit down. Now let's examine this for a moment. Why should one sit while saying the actual Kiddush part, the Bori Pri Hagafen, and the bracha on Shabbat? So some explain that we have these two aspects. We have Kiddush, over a cup of wine, and then we have, of course, the meal, the lechem mishnah, the 2 loaves of bread, which begins our meal. But really, the idea on Shabbat is to start our meal with Kiddush, with a cup of wine, and with saying words of holiness about Shabbos. So in order to connect the Kiddush to the meal, it seems appropriate to sit while saying the actual Bori Pri Hagafen and the Kiddush itself, so that we're already basically starting our meal while saying Kiddush. And again, thereby forming a connection between Kiddush and the meal itself. Back to the Shulchan Aruch. On the third line, the Shulchan Aruch says, Haggah, which is the commentary of the Ramah, the Rav Moshe Isserles, the Ashkenazic authority. And he says, V'yachol la'amod b'shata kiddush. He says, you know what? You can stand for the entire thing if you want, even for the Kiddush part, meaning even for the bracha that comes after the original paragraph. The Yoter Tov Le'shev. But he says it's better to sit. Even the Ramah agrees that the preferred custom is to sit for the second part, for the Bori Pri Hagafen, and for the Kiddush part. And then he says, V'noagin Le'shev, and some people have the custom to sit, Af B'shash Omer Vayechulu, even for the first paragraph. So what we seem to have here is two main opinions reflected in the Shulchan Aruch. One opinion is, two, perhaps three even. Okay, the first opinion is standing for Vayechulu, and then sitting for Bori Pri Hagafen and Kiddush. The Ramah says it's okay to stand for the whole thing, even though it's better to sit. And then he says, and some people have the custom to actually sit for the entire thing. So, in summary, the three customs are: 1, stand for the entire Kiddush. Again, based on the 3 reasons we gave for why it's important to stand, it would seem that that just spilled over to the entire Kiddush, and therefore people stand for the whole thing. Some people sit for the entire Kiddush, based on the reason we gave for why it's appropriate to sit, to connect the Kiddush to the meal. Some people sit for the entire thing. And then some people stand for Vayechulu and sit for the rest.